What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage. I am coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan, out of a Westin hotel. What's up, Ryan Grant?
How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm doing good, buddy. What's that?
So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. Thank you for doing this with me. So, Mortgage Coach community, I'm going to be interviewing Ryan Grant in a formal Tuesday interview next Tuesday live at Sales Mastery. So, Ryan, I'm pumped about you and I doing something live at Sales Mastery next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm really excited about the topic.
Yeah, no, it's a cool topic, and we haven't completely nailed down the headline yet, guys. This is really a working session, like we're preparing for next week, but we thought you guys could get some value from it. So two things have collided here. I have been working on this Mortgage Coach Black Belt program, trying to get clear on, okay, what does it mean to be a white belt loan officer versus a black belt mortgage advisor using Mortgage Coach, like in pulling from martial arts. Ryan, you're a black belt in martial arts?
Yeah, second degree black belt. Yep.
So who better than you to have this conversation with?
Right.
And so trying to get clear on, hey, there's katas to get from one belt to another. There's repetitions and times, there's getting tested by different people at different levels. And so I've been trying to build that. So I want to get Ryan's feedback on that. And then colliding into that, Ryan, you reached out to me a couple of days ago and said, Dave, I've got a big idea. And you had a book that you recommended. Why don't you tell us about the idea in the book? And then we'll bring it all together.
Yeah. So the Challenger Salesman, or the Challenger Salesperson, Challenger Sale, I guess it's called, is a book that I've been reading that really kind of encompassed what we do and who we have been, but I guess even more so who we're evolving to be. And it just really was very clear after reading it that there was 5 very distinct types of salespeople in the world. Even though I don't like the term sales, it breaks down kind of who you are in what bucket, and I could very clearly see who I used to be, who we've become. I could see different loan officers falling in each one of those categories, and it was just very apparent that the mortgage industry has to evolve into the Challenger Salesperson if they want any semblance of success moving forward. And that's it's a combination of a lot of things, but obviously one of the most important things is going to be using Mortgage Coach to help accomplish that, along with our platform, the Art of Homeownership, which we feel like takes it the rest of the way. So it was one of those can't sleep because you're thinking of so many things moments, and you had already thought about a lot of it, so you beat me to it.
Yeah, well, I was going to let you walk through it, but I'll walk through the slides because Ryan and I share a passion for this book called The Challenger Sale, which we both evangelize that mortgage professionals that want to kill it in the future should get this book. We'll talk about it in more detail next Tuesday. But I mean, at the end of the day, the book has this thesis that there's a lot of types of top salespeople. They profile the top 10% of salespeople from some of the greatest sales organizations in America. And within that top 10%, there were hard workers, and that's how they became successful. There were relationship builders, and that's how they became successful. There were problem solvers, and was their superpower. The lone wolf was, another character in all the top producers. And then the majority, the biggest percentage of top 10% performers were the Challenger sales rep. And Ryan, how surprising to you was it when you found out, we knew the Challenger was going to be number one, but when you found out who came in last place, was that shocking to you, or was it kind of like, oh, that just validated something you already believed?
No, it really was. I would have thought that, relationship builder would have been at least number 2, right? But the fact that the relationship builder was in dead last by a significant amount was pretty shocking, right? And, not to say that relationships aren't important when it comes to business partners and clientele, but the biggest thing we can do to show our value to the consumer is teach them something that they don't know, and impart, show them what the problems they're going to have in the future that they're not going to be aware of. And so, for us, having a relationship allows us the ability to do that. But yeah, I thought the relationship would have been higher. I think that unfortunately most real estate professionals and most mortgage professionals really are relying on the relationship component to drive their business forward. And we have a couple examples of this week specifically where we've gotten emails from clients that have said, you know, hey, I want to check with you first because of our relationship. And this is before we really implemented our process. So the relationship basically kept the door open, but they were still open to talking with other people. So the being the challenger was what helped us earn the business again.
Yeah, and so Ryan and I, we aligned on that. We're going to have a more thoughtful conversation next week at Sales Mastery on this. But just to get to the Mortgage Coach Black Belt, I want to quickly finish the Challenger Rep conversation because I think it's important. I think the Black Belt at Mortgage Advice is a Challenger Sales Rep, and it's a pretty simple formula. You know, the Challenger Sales Rep tailors, personalizes, and localizes their advice, which, you know, clearly the Art of Homeownership does both of those things. They teach for value in star moments. We'll talk about star moments a little bit more in a minute. And then they control the conversation. They lead. You know, they're not afraid of something that they refer to in the Challenger sale as constructive tension. And I do think this is one of the things that really differentiates the relationship builder first, is that they're people pleasers. You know, they're yes monsters. Yes, yes, yes. And we really, you know, when I interviewed the best of the best, and why this book, you know, blew my mind, because I was like, oh my God, this is what all the best do. You know, they understand how to have constructive tension. So Ryan, anything you want to add to that before we get into the black belt conversation?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the what we've all kind of felt accustomed to is service, right? It's, you know, really great service, being available. I asked an agent the other day, you know, why do clients use you? And they said, well, you know, we have phenomenal service. We'll answer the phone at, you know, 11 o'clock or midnight. And that's a really slippery slope to go down, right? Because service is great, but service without value will lose, right? And service builds relationships. And there's a reason that relationships came in dead last amongst the competitors. So, you know, being able to control the process, teach, you know, have those star moments, you know, build something where they see you as an extremely valuable part of their life now and well into the future, is 100% what we should be trying to accomplish in this business. Not the, you know, we'll get anything done anytime, we'll answer the phone always, because that's just, I would assert that is what people who don't have value fall back on.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and that is what the majority of people do, but it's not the fastest path to referrals, and it's not the fastest path to wow. So the bullseye as a mortgage professional, every time you meet a family, every time you meet a partner, is to teach them something they hadn't already considered, and to do it in a way that they'll always remember it. And that's what a star moment is. It's teach something they'll always remember. And so that let's get right into white belt. You know, so white belt mortgage advisor delivers a fee worksheet, and the data, you know, when you really net out the data on a fee worksheet, it's a triangle. It's rate, payment, cash to close. And that's what we call at Mortgage Coach. You know, you're a white belt transactional loan officer if that's the conversation you have with every family. And then, you know, we want to get you to this black belt, but you know, you've got to go through these series of belts, and I haven't really figured it out, Ryan. You know, so one, in this call, I'd love some collaboration ideas you have, but one thing I'm pretty clear on is that orange belt is where we introduce some moves. You know, we go from just learning to block, learning to punch, you know, metaphorically in martial arts, to showing the cost of loans over time. So like, instead of just transaction, hey, what's that cost of that loan over 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, a period of time that's relevant to you as a family member. And then let's also introduce some investment. You know, should we prepay the mortgage? Should we, you know, take the difference between the refi and invest it? But I call this the Mortgage Coach Advice Star. Any thoughts you have on that? I mean, do you feel like I mean, I know you're going to say, yeah, Dave, those are good moves, but do you feel like a loan officer that could go from triangle to this, like that's an orange belt? What are your thoughts on that? Be as
Yeah,
candid as you want.
because it depends upon how many belts you have in your series, right? Because there's some martial arts have 7 between white and black, but
We're gonna go like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
we're not gonna. I haven't figured out 7 belts yet.
got it. Yeah, I would say 5 is probably sufficient. But when it comes to up leveling from the white belt, yeah, I think being able to answer questions like what is this going to cost me over time. I honestly think that when you get into prepay or investment strategies, you're probably getting closer to green or red belt at that point. So there's because there takes extra knowledge around that, right? You can't just fake teaching someone how to prepay or pay down their mortgage. You can't fake knowing the alternative investment strategy of putting less money down or of investing in different things. So you need to have some higher level of intellect to pull that off. Again, that being said, it really just is a matter of kind of what we want to step up from white to black. But in my opinion, getting to black belt is helping them fully understand the transaction A to Z, how it impacts them now and how it helps them impact them in the future. But the biggest thing that black belts do in our world of martial arts is anticipation, right? And it's helping the consumer figure out what they need to anticipate right after that transaction is done. And that's the biggest mover that you'll see in your business, is when you can help someone anticipate the future.
I like that. So let's, we're doing this as a prep for Tuesday. So let's think about what are all the things, maybe some questions that could come up with some anticipation, Ryan, when we do the Tuesday call. So I just want to kind of get right to the brown belt where I'm at right now, and then get to the black belt, and like literally do this in like 5 minutes, and then we'll really drill down on this next week.
Yeah.
So for me, the brown belt knows how to use video, and they know how to integrate video into the conversation or audio. They know when to do video, when to do audio. They know when to use technology to deliver an engaged experience. They know how to do omni-channel, like based off of where that client is, who they are, whether they use mobile, whether they bring them into the office. And of course, they're always delivering options. So to me, that a loan officer that can kind of do the star and then can use omni-channel multimedia to deliver advice, brown belt. And then really the black belt's pretty simple. It's someone that can do all those things, and they could do them in every sales situation. And they've done it at least 300 times with a mortgage coach, TCA. So what are your impressions around that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think, meeting clients in person, being able to show this real time is really important, and having the confidence that when someone comes into your office, or if you're meeting them in a neutral location, that you're not wasting their time, right? That you're not just showing them something that they could have learned over email or online. So whether that's in person or via video or webinar, I think that's really important. But yeah, I think your black belt thing is good there. The only thing I would add would be the anticipation component of it, of what happens if I lose my job? What happens if my wife, if we have a baby or another kid, and what are my outs, right? And as a poker player, you always want to know your outs, right? And when you're buying a home, there's significant risk in that. And so being able to teach someone, hey, look, here's what we're helping you with now, and here's what the future looks like, good, bad, or indifferent. And being able to use the TCA throughout the entirety of your relationship with that client is really what's going to get you to the next level.
I like it. Any other things like in preparation for next week? One, I'm going to ask you to bring a couple sample TCAs that we can go through and teach people tactically. I would love to know, what are some of the examples of a good black belt questions? What are there's the transaction questions, but where does it go from transaction to advice? Like, what are those questions that transition into that? And then of course, like you said, anticipation. Let's really drill down on that next week as we build out what it is to be a black belt in mortgage advice. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds great. I think the questions you ask will make all the difference in the world in terms of how that client sees you. I think a loan officer or a client could call a loan officer and be asked the normal application questions, and then a loan officer could call a black belt mortgage advisor and be asked a whole host of different questions that just by the questions they're asked, that client would think, this person really cares about me. This person has my best interest in mind. The other person didn't ask me a single one of those questions. It's got to be, they must be a white belt. We're definitely going with the person that asked the right questions.
Right, right. And then mortgage coach community, I'd love to know, what do you think the number of TCAs it is to be a black belt? Right now we're leaning towards 300, and we're thinking about people that have done over 1,000, calling them grandmasters. So, but I think you could be a black belt and not have done 1,000 TCAs. I think you do a total cost analysis 300 times. I mean, you can get pretty damn good at being a mortgage advisor. So let me know down below what you think the right number is. Also, if you think you're a mortgage coach black belt, or you have some ideas on this subject, I'm going to be doing interviews like this. This is the third one that I've done with people that I know are black belt in advice. So if it's someone else I should interview, let me know. And if you have some ideas on this, feel free to share your ideas. Ryan, appreciate you, brother, and look forward to next Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Hey, if you like this, give it a like, share it with your mortgage friends. Take care, everybody.